Hey guys! This isn't like my usual posts, but what happened shouldn't be dismissed. Yesterday, gypsies, and I do mean gypsies, came onto our property. These two and two others worked on distracting me and walking me away from my mother. Two were distracting me and two were distracting my mom. All well, this woman went up to my front door and entered the house. My dad was in the house when he heard footsteps and assumed it was me or my mom. He turned around when he heard the steps getting closer and saw her. When she saw him, she panicked and said, "I need 5 chickens." After we had told her we have no chickens for sale, my dad says, "Okay, let's go outside." Simply wanting her out of the house but not trying to be rude. She follows him outside and my dad goes to show people the goats, leaving the house empty except for my brother. As my dad gets distracted with showing people the goats, the woman in the black dress heads back to the house. At this time, I am about to go ride my horse, and I have just tied her and started grooming her. My horse's hind is pointing to the front door, and the two women distracting me stand beside her hind, trying to block view of the front door. They didn't succeed as I could see the front door. I kept glancing at the front door as the woman in the black dress hovered near the deck. Every time I would glance at the door, the two women would try to block my view. They were asking me lots of strange questions, like, "Can we buy your horse?" 3 of them asked that, which I responded with, "She's not for sale." They also asked things like, "You're 12 and you have your own horse, and do you have another horse?" I responded with, "Yes, she is at training to become a jumper." Then they said, "Where is she kept?" "Where is she?" I said, "She's at my trainer's house," not giving any address. I got out a dandy brush to groom my horse and started using it. When one of them asked me, "Do you have a boyfriend?" I responded, "No, why not?" They asked, "I don't know," I responded, thinking it wasn't any of their business. "We can get you a boyfriend," they said, and smirked. I laughed, not knowing what else to say or do, and looked at the door. The woman with the black dress had just been right beside the front door, and around 3 seconds later, she was gone from the entire yard. She couldn't have been anywhere but in the house. The women had me cornered against my horse, them, and my horse trailer where my horse was tied. Not knowing what to do to alert my mom, who was across the yard, I just kept talking to them. While this was happening, my horse kept tossing her head towards the door. She only tosses her head when tied alone. She never tosses her head while being groomed unless something is wrong. While I'm looking at the door, one of the women blocks my view and asks if I can teach her how to use a shedding brush. I showed her how, then turned to the door and took a step towards it, the house being probably 30 yards away. She then says loudly, "So like this?" and pretends like she's going to slam the brush into my horse's ribcage. No, softly, like you're brushing your hair. Now getting pissed because she just made my horse anxious because she was abused and hit. I was thinking they might be interested in buying and reselling my horse, and if I say no, they might steal her. They said I like her color, she's white. No, she's silver. They seemed too interested. I had an idea. They asked, "So you do racing with her?" I said no, she's too old. She's 27 and she limps really bad, so I can only ride her once a week. So she needs a lot of medication for her arthritis. She is 27 and she does have a slight limp. And she does have arthritis and she does take half of a pill daily to help with it. So none of it was a lie. I just exaggerated it to make her seem like she wasn't worth any money. It worked. After I had said that, they acted a lot more disinterested. Then my mom walks over and says, "He has a gun." Apparently, the man who dropped the women off beside a house had driven into our neighbor's yard at 20 miles per hour or so and parked in their front yard grass. Our neighbors told them to leave because it was private property. He drove off, then came right back. The neighbors walked out with a shotgun and said, "Get the bleep off of my property." The man drove past quickly and stopped in the road, calling something out in a foreign language, and the black-dressed woman comes out of the house and runs out of the yard. The other women all ran to the road and car. My mom got a picture of the car, but the license plate was blurry. I tell my mom they were in the house and she goes to check if anything was missing. Our money box that has cash in it was open, and the money was clearly messed with. There were a lot of ones in the box, but it looked like she had taken the bigger bills and put them on the desk, trying to sort them out. We don't think anything was taken, but she was in the house for multiple minutes, so she probably took something we just don't know what. My mom posted pics of them saying what they did, and apparently they have done this a lot before. Come back for the next part, it gets crazy. I had turned out my horse in the backyard, where the sheep and pigs are also kept. My mom came with me to feed her dinner and we closed the gate properly. Me and my mom decided to stay up and listen out for anything. Apparently at 3 a.m. My mom heard a car pull in and when she looked out the window, it was a smaller car. But she assumed it was one of the people who were staying the night in our campsite. My mom went back to sleep, but I woke up at around 4:30 and couldn't go back to sleep, so I made edits on my phone. At around 7 a.m. I went to the bathroom so I could look out the window to make sure my horse, Magnolia, was still in the yard. I couldn't see her or the sheep and pigs. Then I saw the gate wide open. I ran outside. Usually Magnolia just goes to her stall, but I had Fern in training, and she saw her leave in the horse trailer. Ever since she has wanted to run into the road to go find her. I saw the sheep and pigs walking around the yard. They had ripped open a bag of feed and eaten almost half of it. I called my mom and said,
"The gate is wide open where Maggie was."
She said,
"Where Maggie was? What do you mean? Where she was?"
I said,
"I can't see her."
I ran and looked towards Maggie's enclosure, and she was standing there. She had gotten the lid off of her food and eaten a lot of it. I opened her gate and let her run into her pasture and shut the gate. We looked on the trail camera and it didn't pick up any car at 3 a.m. It seems like they covered the camera somehow. Watch out for these people. There was two more that must have went around the camera, because there is no pics of them that the camera picked up.